Okay, we're about 1 minute early. What do you know? Just can't wait to get going. I've turned on the recording and we're ready to go at it. All right, so here we go. This is Design 320. It's the 16th today, so we're going to do our lecture. All this week, we'll be doing mass model concept views using Revit. I get better at using the calendar all the time. So now, from here on out, you'll get a title bar across the week, which shows the topic that we'll be working on. Of course, if you want to know what to do this week, you'll go to the To Do This Week button. And you'll see that this is week 5, mass modeling concept views using Revit. I made a preview, so I'm not going to take too long. Here is the playlist. There's quite a bit in here already because I made a bunch of tutorials for each little part of Revit. So if you get stuck on one part, you can go back. But this is even how to get started, how to read the specs of what we're supposed to do and what's important and what's not, how to do walls, doors, windows, roofs, and floors. There you go. The roof one had one little weird spot that hopefully you'll be able to follow and take care of. I made the walls 2 foot taller than normal, so it looks a little funny until you make an adjustment. Okay, so there's a playlist. Lily asked, I think it was Lily. I'm not really sure now. Somebody asked that I go back and make sure that I'm tagging these things to which page they are, and I think that's a very valid, useful request. So I've done that. So you'll see in the submittal template, and here's this all again, and you'll see that each one has the number for the page on it. So I've got that much better. So, and I'll try to remember to do that. You guys can always remind me otherwise. And so this Revit architectural is really just any one of or all of the Revit architectural ones. And Revit Civil I have not done for you yet, but I will. That's the topography. Okay, so if you watch any one of those or that one, you'll be able to do your thing here. Certify. Again, we have a submittal spot on Canvas. Now, I've got a little video that I really do want you to watch. Many people actually don't do that part right. And so I've explained it in detail. Usually when I see that many people make the same mistake, that it's a problem with the instructions rather than with, somebody just not doing it. And we've got a lot of people in all of my classes that don't follow a template as I ask. And so I've made a little video to show you how to do it and how to read this. Like if it's in red, it's something that you really need to change and work with. And when it says was or was not, you don't put them both in there because that can't be. And if you just read it, you'll see that that doesn't make any sense. So you're supposed to pick one of these and put that in. So there's a little video about that right there. So just watch that video. It will be part of your grade from now on. So if you make your submittal but you don't do that little certification, you will lose some small amount. It's not going to be the difference between an A and a B unless a tiny amount makes the difference. It'll be like 0.1 or 0.05 points. Not a lot, just enough to remind those of you who love perfect grades that you have to do everything to get a perfect grade. Okay, and you have to do everything well to get a perfect grade. Many, many of you so far have gotten 4.0 perfect grades, and so I'm upping the requirements just a tiny bit. The work that I've been seeing has been extraordinary. So you guys are really just doing nice work. The last thing, I guess, is the fact that many of you may know that our license server was down. It was actually a planned shutdown on Friday, and they didn't plan on getting our servers back up and running quite fully. And so the one server that was still down that needed reset was our license server, so that none of the Autodesk license products worked over the weekend until yesterday morning. So you all have a little bit of extra time to do the Revit, any of the work, but in particular the inventor work that many of you don't have and probably wouldn't have had time to do. Most of you probably had time to do the AutoCAD work because it didn't go down until Friday. Okay, so there we go. That's our what to do this week. Let's look and see what we're going to work on today. Today, we're just going to talk about Revit and how to get started and stuff like that. I'm going to use Revit 2020. You're welcome to use any Revit that you want. The one on VMware works just great. And there has basically been no change in Revit since 2018 that I can see. There's probably changes, but it's at a much more complex level than what we teach at and what we expect you to do in introductory courses. So we're just going to go along some of these. And these are all videos. So all of these have a short 5 to 10 minute video. And I'm not going to just play those. I'm just going to go ahead and go through it. And then on Thursday, we'll do the topography, the civil portion. Where does the building sit? Okay, so let me open Revit, and I'm just going to start with a brand new one. So I'm going to start with a new. And when it comes open, sometimes it looks different than this. It can look more like the start page. Let me see if I can find the start page. Nah, I'll just do my new. And I'm going to start a new project. Families are pieces that go into a Revit project, and they're called families because they're grouped together by things that are related with each other. Like table families are all kind of like tables, and washing machine families are all kind of like washing machines. So we're going to do a project. And there's many templates available, and you could make your own template, just like in AutoCAD and in Inventor. But for our class, everything we'll do will use an architectural template. So that's what you're going to start. Click. And a project. You're not going to create a new template. You're going to create a new project from this template. And when it opens up, our architectural template looks like this. Well, Jake, I'm sorry about that. There's not much I can do about that right now. I think I'm going to continue with this, and you can just watch and see what's going on. That's a bummer when things don't work. It's a total bummer. Okay, so here we go. This is how it looks when it comes on. This is your working area where you build things, and it's a BIM, building information model. I'm doing more than drawing pretty pictures. As a matter of fact, I don't even have any pieces of paper in here until I add a sheet. But I do have what are called views. And as soon as I make part of my model, it shows up in the appropriate views. So you can imagine level 1 floor plan is set up to look like a floor plan, and whatever I can see that would be on level 1, which is usually ground floor, elevation 0, the floor of your first floor of your building. That's often what level 1 is. Okay, and whatever you can see there, you'll be able to see. And on reflected ceiling plans, those are hard, elevations, all that kind of stuff. What you don't see is the 3D model, and I'm going to show you the quick way to get to 3D model. I think you can see it up here. There's tiny little icons way at the top. And there's one that looks like a little house. And if you click on that one that looks like a little house, you see it now. It looks like that 3D view. But I'm going to go back to my floor plan. Now, this is called your project browser. And it lets you see all the views that you have identified, ways you want to look at your model. You can look at floor plan views, 3D views, elevation views. You can add tons more views. And you'll find out that there's even disciplines. And we're architectural, so all we're looking at are architectural ones. But if I wanted to, I could look at structural views, mechanical views. It's a very complex program, but we're going to stick with architectural because these are predefined. In every view, it's set up so that you can see the parts you want to see. So what would an architect want to see in a floor plan? Walls, windows, doors, things like that. And in the visibility and graphics, there's this huge list of things that you could see if you want to, and everything with a check mark can be seen. It's like layers, but instead of layers for lines, they're layers for things. What can you see and what can you not see? And not only that, I can also check out and see how much am I able to look at. This will look at up to the top of level 1 or the bottom of level 2, which happens to be 7 foot 6 inches in this case. And I can see down to the bottom. And I can even change all those. And I have this weird thing called cut plane. So if you're knowledgeable about a floor plan, the floor plan shows everything as if you had cut it off. And if you could cut through a window, it'll show you a window. If you could cut through a door, it would show you a door. But if your windows are above this, it won't show you. So that's all just standard stuff. But these properties are like a super, super high level, important, fancy way of doing the properties that you see in AutoCAD. And the project browser lets you look at things in all the different ways that you've chosen to look at it. Okay? So that's kind of cool. If these things ever go away, if they ever go away, you're click, 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 and you go bonk. Ah, it went away. Ah. You go to the View tab and the User Interface and turn your project browser back on. And if you use your properties, you go to the View tab and the User Interface and you turn your properties back on. And there's tons of other things that you can look at. Like I said, this is a BIM, Building Information Model. And it will actually put in for you information about what a wall is made of, how it's made, how it's finished, what kind of energy transfer there is through it, the light reflectance, how much it weighs. There's so much data in this thing because designers need data to make sure the design is right. And so this model holds it all so that it's in one place. Okay? Now, we're not going to use all that. We're just going to use this for a quick, simple visualization that would get a design started. Okay? Now, we're going to work on the architecture scale. So here's all the architectural stuff. And by the way, this view scale means that when I put it on a piece of paper, that's the scale I'm going to use. Okay? So that's, you still have to know eventually how big is your piece of paper, how big is your part, what's your view scale. But we're not going to worry about that either. That's not what this class is about. This class is about how do you make your 3D model that you can visualize and what kind of cool things could you possibly do with that. Okay. In the chat line, please pop in if you feel comfortable with Revit. Put your name in there and say comfortable. And if this is kind of like your first time or one of your first times using Revit, pop it in the chat line. And that way I can kind of see what people know and what they don't know already. Okay. So the first thing that you do when you work with Revit architectural is you make walls. Cool. Got a couple in there. So we're going to make some walls. That's what we're going to do. Okay. And if I pick wall, all sorts of walls come up. Oh my gosh. Look at all these different types of walls. And these are just the ones we've got loaded. There are many, many, many more walls that I could choose to use. And there's curtain walls, which, tell you the truth, I'm not an architect, so I stay away from curtain walls. But if you're architecty, you can do that. Now I'm just going to put in some basic generic wall. I'll put in a generic 5-inch thick wall. Click. And now wherever I click, it'll start doing its thing. But look, this is going to put the center line of the wall wherever I click. And I can change that. I think I did one as a finished face interior. But it's going to put the bottom of the wall, the base, on level 1, right on it at 0, 0. And it's going to move it up to level 2. And if I look at it, that it's telling me that's 10 foot tall. I can change that. I can do all sorts of things. But I kind of like that, up to level 2. And so that'll be cool. So I like that. Finished face exterior. And you can go and look and see what we're supposed to draw. But I'm just gonna make a building, and I'm gonna make it 36 click by 60 and 36, but I want an extra 20 foot for the garage, so I'll make it 56. And I can just let go of the mouse and type 56. Enter. And I can move this over and make it 20. Well, it just happened to hit 20. And look, it kind of draws in the lines for me. There. See if I can get that to click to the out. There it goes. See, if you click this little button, it measures to a different spot. So don't worry too much if your number isn't right exactly on, because you might need to click it to a different spot. I don't really care. I just want you to be somewhat close. So now I got this big old building, and these numbers aren't the same as yours. But if I click on something, it sort of tells me some dimensions about it. So that's kind of cool. You can just click on things and it'll sort of tell you what's going on. And I'm not worried about dimensioning. I just want something that's kind of close. Now I made my 3D view. Let me go back and look at it. That's so cool. I have a building. Now here's another cool thing. I can change each one of these walls if I want to. If I click on a wall, it tells me all about how I made that wall. And look, I could even come in and see about how that wall is made. If I look at editing the type, I can look at all this stuff about it. Absorptance, roughness, type, keynote, assembly. Oh my gosh, there's so much stuff. And look, it even tells me what I've made it out of. There's core boundaries, and I can look here. Like, wow, is there ever a lot of data in this thing? And look, I've got all the materials I can choose from, but I'm not going to worry about that. I just want to let you know that it's all there. But if I want to change that wall to a piece of brick, it looks maybe a little different. Look, it's brick. And the view style stuff is all down here in this little lower corner. And I could fix it up here too. I could do different view styles up here. There is so much to do. But I can like click on this thing and say coarse, medium, or fine. I'll do medium. And here I can look at it hidden, shaded, consistent, color, all sorts of stuff. This is gray because a generic wall, I think they make it out of just concrete. But I can change each individual wall if I feel like it. I can even make one wall taller. Isn't that cool? And if I click on that wall, it's telling me how high it is. And I can even make it a certain amount. 10 foot higher. Wow, there's so many things you can do with it. And if I want, this is really cool, and you don't have to do any of this. I could actually make a weird looking wall. So there's tons of stuff that you can do. Look at how weird that. It's like, wow. You're not going to be asked to do that stuff, but I want to let you know kind of ahead of time why you might be interested in learning more about Revit as you go on. So now I'm going to undo all that because I don't really want it. There. I'm back to where I was. So that's how you make walls. And if I want to put maybe some partition walls in now, some little interior walls, I'll go back to my floor plan and I'll put in little basic wall on the inside. So you can make walls on the inside too. We're again not going to do that because I'm looking at mass modeling. Oh, and by the way, that stuff that we did, see, you can do heating and cooling loads. That eQuest thing that we did, you could do that right inside of Revit based on where you tell them this thing is located because it knows the weather for different parts of the world. So I can do all that heating and cooling stuff. I can do pipe pressure loss. I can do electrical circuit checks. Lots of stuff that I can do. They're all cool architectural things that we're not going to do. So, because I just did walls. After walls, we need doors. And I'll put in a door. And I don't care where you put those doors now. Although in the little thing I gave you, I showed you where to put them. Now here's an interesting thing. Does anybody know if doors are supposed to go inwards or outwards? Anybody know? Oh, okay. My door in my house doesn't go outwards. Does the door in your house go outward? Yep. There's all sorts of ways to do it. How about if you owned a preschool and social services said they don't want any little kids to be able to push a door open? So that was kind of a trick question. Jake's answer was actually right. For most commercial buildings, the law says you need, because of fire, people got to be able to get out and get out easily. So you want to just push the door open. So in many, many, many cases, Jake is right. But in many cases, it's got to go inward. I actually owned a building where the fire people told me it had to go outward, and the social services people told me it had to go inward. And how do you do both? You don't. So what I ended up doing was building a courtyard with one that went inward, and the building one went outward so that it was a preschool so the kids couldn't just get out. So anyway, the thing is you got to be able to change. And so here's how you change. You just click this little button. Click, click. You can change it. It's so cool. Click, 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 click. You have full control. And if you want it to move over, I can just use my arrow key. If you know how close to the wall it is, usually it's 2 studs thickness so that you can go right into a stud. Unless it's like 5 feet or something like that. Okay, so this is where some design happens so that you get a number that seems like it's easy to build. Okay. So that's how you do a door. And I just picked a goofball door. What if I want to put in a garage door? When I go to doors, I don't see a garage door. I just see these goofball doors. I don't even know which one I picked. If you don't see it, you can load one. Sometimes we have more available. So here's the family. I think I'll look under doors to find doors. Now, these are not always easy to figure out. Anybody know how they came up with these weird things here? On what they're called? Anybody know that one? If you took Design 300 from me, you better know. What do these match up with? And I won't call out those of you who I know took Design 300 with me. These match up closely with master format spec systems. So these all follow closely with the divisions of master format specs. Theirs are a little bit different because they use one called Omni number. But if I'm looking for doors, I'll look under the folder called doors. And I'll do a residential. There's a garage door. Hey, garage door, flush panel, embossed panel. I'll, I'll do this one. Ooh. And I'll put my garage door. Oh, there. Now this is really cool, but that's a single garage door. I can change it if I want to. It's 96 by, it says it's 96 width, 8 feet. That's enough for one car. What if I wanted it to be twice that? I can actually change it. Isn't that the coolest thing? You have lots and lots and lots that you can do in Revit. So now I've got a garage door. I got some other doors. You'll see that there's a specific thing that I'm asking you to make. But that's kind of cool. I didn't ask you to put a garage door on, but you might want to. So after, well, what are you talking about, Jake? That doesn't make. Jake, this is a mass model. So that's not a useful comment, Jake. So keep those ones on your own, please. All right? Okay. We'll get back to the ranch here. So we've got walls, we've got doors. What comes in next? Windows. I'm just moving right across. Now I'm not going to put in these. I might put in a column depending on whether I want to have a big overhang here. Okay, so here we go. I'll put in some windows. I'll go back to my level 1 floor plan. And again, I get to put in different types of windows. There's all sorts of different types of windows. That's a cool looking window. 48 wide by 60 high, 41 high by 53. That's a real common size window. Let me put that one in. And I'll put it in. Oh, that one's operable. Wow. That's kind of cool. I'm not sure I want operable. Maybe I'll go with the double hung. Yeah, I'll go with my operable. I like those. Operable window. And I'll just put a couple of them in here. And you can space these, right? You can do whatever you want to space those, because once I click on one, I can move it. But I'm not really too interested in getting it perfect right now, because I'm probably just going to do an energy analysis, and my windows are a big part of that. So I just need to get the right size and right number in. So now let's see what this is. Oh, look at that. And let's see what it tells me about this window. When I click on a window, it tells me the sill height, 36 inches. It tells me head height is right at 8 feet. Interior wall closure, exterior wall closure. That's all window terminology. Trim visibility, internal trim visibility. Let's see what this window might be made out of. Look at this. Look at all this stuff. Analytic construction, thermal properties by building type, fire rating, half-hour fire rating. Man, there's a lot of stuff in here. And if I look at my construction type, oh, it's just using global parameters. So that's kind of cool. This is about how to make it. Ooh, exterior clad material. this has just got some global sets. Wood, stain, clad. So these are global sets, but I can change. I could make this 5, 6, 7. I can change whatever I want. I'm going to leave it alone. But remember, when you click on an item, it tells you tons about it, which is why we like Revit. When I click on this door, it gives me a head height of 7. Let's see what it's got on here. Thermal properties. Oh, it's a metal door. It's got heat transfer, assembly cut. So that's all cool. Fire rate. This one doesn't have a particular fire rating, so I would look for it. Anybody know what a 1 hour fire rating means? Well, that's a good guess. It's not quite right, but it's close. Anybody got another one? Okay, well, fire ratings are usually made by two organizations, Underwriters Laboratory, and that's close too. Olivia says how long the material will withstand the heat, and that's very close. But you actually really don't know because fire is a weird thing. There's some fires are hotter than others. Some buildings build up heat inside quicker than others. There's chemical fires and just basically fires from the material. And so what happens is companies, Underwriter Laboratory and Factory Mutual, it are two of them, set up tests, and they're standard tests. And they say, if you want to rate your product, send it to us and we'll test it exactly the same as we've tested everybody else's stuff, and we'll give you a number. And in this case, it's hours or minutes, but hours. And so I actually got to do work at both of those facilities. I did more at Underwriters Laboratory, and oh, how I wanted a job there so bad. So I was doing valves where they just pumped water through our valves and tried to break them. Not very interesting. But the valve lab was through the fire lab. And the fire lab was a humongous building, probably about 40, 50 feet tall and the size of a football field. And they would build buildings inside this building and light them on fire. And one of the ones I got to see was a fire rated door. And it was a door that looked like this, and it had a glass window on it that they wanted the fire rating on that door. And so they had a big wall with 4-inch tubes coming out of it. And the wall was about 12 feet tall by 20 feet wide. And they had a little like a barn door roller in front of it. And they hooked up this door on the barn door roller, and they lit the wall on fire. They had this huge gas supply, and they just lit it on fire, and it was just like 4-inch burning rocket fire coming out of each one of those tubes. And they moved it in front, and on the side that I was on, they had a guy with a fire hose hosing it down with cold water. And it was just how long until that glass broke. And it was about half an hour in the case of the one I watched. How much fun would that job be? To build walls of fire and light things on fire and shoot them with a fire hose and time it until it breaks? Wow! I got to see another one where they were testing flooring materials. And how long it would take till somebody fell through the floor. What a cool place. So you're all kind of right. But it's really, they test it exactly the same, and it might last minutes in your building and it might last 10 hours. The fire rating is a comparison test so that you know, compared to all the other products out there, how long will mine last with the same rating. Okay, so we've got walls, we've got doors, we've got windows. Let's put a roof on here. And I am going to put my roof on level 2 because I want my roof to attach to this. Now, the roof I'm going to put on is a little bit different than the one I'm asking you to put on, but you'll see how to do it. So I'm going to put on what kind of a roof? I'll put on a wood rafter roof. And I'm going to click the walls that I want to use to define my roof. I need to be on level 2, sorry. Why isn't it letting me put that on there? Now I can't figure out why that's not letting me put my roof on. I'll go ahead and save my project. Sorry about that, folks. Does your system look like mine? It's like, oh my gosh, there's a lot of stuff. Okay, so let me go ahead and put on my roof by footprint. Pick my walls. There we go. Now I can pick a wall. And I usually put some eaves on there, so I'll put 2-foot eaves on. And this one, I'm not going to define a slope, but this one I will. And this one I will, but this one I won't. And these ones I will. So that's called a gable on this end, and a hip on this end, and a gable on this end. And if I select, go to my little arrow, and select my ones that have slopes, you'll see it's 6 on 12. What's a real common one? 4 on 6 is really common. Let me go 4. Well, I'll go 6 on 12. And I'm going to click it. And oh, it looks terrible because it's sticking up above my cut plane. That's kind of how it might look. That's kind of neato. Okay, so let me go back to level 2, and I have to see why. And it's because of this thing here, my view range. I have this cut plane in there. And I'm going to look as high as I can, and I'll just put 15 feet to get above. There we go. Now I've got a regular roof plan. And for those of you who have drawn roof plans, you can see it can be kind of squonky, kind of difficult and weird to draw. Yeah, yep, you got it. Okay, but there's my roof. And I got a little bit of a problem over here. I didn't do my wall just right. This one, I think I can there's a way for me to connect that. Tap attach top. There we go. Isn't that cool? Click on that, attach top there. That's pretty awesome. Now I'm starting to get something that looks pretty good. I got a little bit of a problem here. I don't know what I did there with my roof plan, but I can go back and fix that, but I don't really care because I've got something that's kind of close to my mass model. And if I keep going across, now I've got the floor to do. So your floor will probably attach to level 1 floor. I'll put in a architectural floor with a slab edge. That's kind of cool. Those are kind of good. Those are used a lot. Slab edge, that looks pretty good. And I should be able to pick my walls. It's not letting me pick those walls. I'll just do an architectural floor and I'll make it a 12-inch joist with carpet finish, 10-inch with wood finish, 10-inch with ceramic top. How about that? And then I can pick walls to attach it to. There. And that should make my floor. There we go. I got a floor. And maybe I wanted this floor to be different. I don't think I'd want that. But for my mass model, I'm okay. There. That's it. That's how you make a building in Revit. And that's actually what you're supposed to do for this one. Now, you'd want to take snips as you move along, but you could take a floor plan view and just show your floor plan. And I would take snips as you go so that you could show each step. And it might be nice in your presentation to put some of this information. What type of wall that you can take snips of all this stuff. And I think that would give you a better presentation than just having this thing. Okay? Showing that, yes, I've just got a simple mass model, but I've got information too. So on one of your pages, you might pick something like this to show that this is that wall. And put that in there. And then you might also take a 3D view. See how that's the highlighted wall? So now I could take a snip of that wall to show that it really does do cool stuff like that. Okay? But we're just doing a mass model, a quick mass model, and you can see how quick it is. Right? I think you can do this one fairly straightforward and simple. So let's take a look really quickly. This is how to get started. Where did I put the Jamboard? There it is. Architect's Program Sketch. So that's what I want you to be able to build. 30 by 40 with a 20 by 20 garage. External, I'm asking you to make external brick walls, concrete floor, hip style 6x12, 2-foot slope, 2-foot eave overhang. So that's what I'm going to be expecting you to be able to create the quick mass model. Okay. There we go. Any questions on that? Everybody understand what the assignment will be? Cool. That's sounding good. I'm going to go ahead and turn off the recording.